Welcome to Heartbeats and Footprints, the show that is all about personal growth. From faith to relationships, business, and fashion, chances are, if you are thinking about it, we are talking about it. Hi everyone, welcome back to Heartbeats and Footprints. I am beyond excited to have this conversation with my next guest, Danielle Aronovitz. She is a shadchan. She's a superstar in this, and I can't wait for all of you to hear about her. Danielle lives in Woodmere, New York. She's a wife to Avi, mother to Hudi and Rebecca, Yoni, Kobe, Miri, and mama to Yosef. She is a licensed speech-language pathologist, and her skill set works with special needs students for over 27 years. For the last 5 years, she has become a very, and can I say again, very successful shadchan and coach to so many daters from all different Jewish backgrounds. She puts her heart and soul into her daters, and the results have absolutely paid off. So Danielle, tell everybody, how did you go from being a speech therapist to doing shadchanos?
The story goes like this. I would say it was January, a Shabbos in January in 2019, pre-COVID, and I basically said to my husband, Avi, I think I'm going to be a shadchan. He said, perfect. Great
Just
personality.
like that.
Just like that. You know, a million people, all different types, go for it. So I did. And in the beginning, I called myself a facilitator because in the crowd that I was tapping into, which what I would say is middle of the road, modern yeshiva university crowd, using the word shadchan at that time would have made this crowd a little bit nervous because they're thinking of this woman with a tichel sitting on a porch trying to just get boys and girls together. So there was one Shabbos afternoon that I asked my friend Alana Lichter if I could pop over. Her son was there with a bunch of friends, and I was just throwing this idea out, and you know, some were receptive and some weren't. And here we are. It is now August 2024, and Baruch Hashem, I have made over 40 shidduchim, all different types.
Incredible.
From daters that are frum to daters that come and live in a yeshivish world and everything in between.
So first of all, I have to say that I love that you took that initiative, because a lot of people think, okay, maybe I'll do shadchanos, but you actually went and did something about it. And so first of all, kudos to you. That's amazing. Second of all, I'd like to know, as a fellow shadchan, what's the secret sauce? What's the secret to your success? Obviously, it's from Hashem, but if you would have to put it into words, what would you say?
Well, it definitely, all this comes from Hashem.
Yeah.
If you are not a believer on any level, when you start dealing with shidduchim, sometimes you just scratch your head and you just look up and say, this is all you. The secret sauce is I'm very honest, maybe sometimes too honest, but I also respect my daters and their families.
When you say you're too honest, do you mean like with the daters that you work with? You say it as it is type of thing?
Exactly.
Give me an example of something that you would tell a dater that maybe another shadchan would hesitate to say, and how that's helpful.
Something along the lines of, look at yourself in the mirror, boy or girl, it doesn't really matter. Be realistic.
Yeah.
Look at your family style. Look at your career. Look at your academics. You know, sometimes you're reaching and you're going to get a lot of no's. Look back at what you've done and try to change things. And hopefully we'll have, you know, more success. There's one thing, you know, we can discuss pictures and pictures and pictures. The pictures are here. We can definitely control them. However, when I see a picture that I know could be better, I will say something along the lines of, when was the last time it was taken? And if I hear it's a while ago, I can say something like new season, new picture. Sometimes I'll tell people, yeah, new season, new picture. I'll tell individuals to go outside. When you have a very good natural background, your eye will go to the background. That will be more important than actually the person you're looking at. It's a distraction. Also make sure I'm honest with who's in the picture, because as we know, when you take a picture with a friend, 9 out of 10 times that friend will end up getting the date.
It's crazy. It's
You know,
crazy.
if I don't like what they're wearing or how they look, I will tell them because I don't want to waste anyone's time here. Doesn't mean that you're ugly, doesn't mean that, you know, there's something wrong with it, but we can improve. So it's a way of saying certain things in a very delicate way and really having the dater and or their family think about the process. And if it's not working, why?
I love that. So I mean, as I said in your bio, you don't just do shatchanas, you're also a coach. So do you only coach people that you work with, or you do this also like for people that you're not setting up?
Both.
You
Both.
do both.
Hmm. But every single dater that I'm involved with, if I have both the, you know, male and female, then I spend a lot of time with each dater. If I only have the female or the male, then I can't get to the other side. I do what I can. Everyone needs extra attention. It's not just how was the date, how was the date, how was the golf course, how was the, you know, pottery place, but really how was the date? And you don't analyze every date. You know, date 1 and 2 and 3, it's a knee jerk reaction. You like it, you go, move on.
Yeah.
As you get on, as you know, as a therapist, then you can start having conversations. And sometimes we're blessed, no conversations and smooth sailing.
Yeah. If only they were all smooth sailing. If only.
Exactly.
So, what advice would you give somebody who's just starting out? What should they know?
I think, well, it's part of my interview process. When a dater comes my way, either on their own
Yeah.
or if the parents call me, I ask everyone to write down 3 things that are non negotiable things that they're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting activity when you have the dater and their parents. You tell them to take out an index card and everyone writes 1, 2, and 3. When it's a family that really works together, usually their wants of 1 and 2 are similar, and number 3 is usually a curveball. And
That's
it's
very
not my list, it's their list. And then we start with that. If you come in with a list of 10 things that you're looking for, it's going to be very disappointing.
Yeah.
Stick with 10 things, and I'm not going to judge you or, you know, say anything. It makes the person think about what they want and what's important.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point, by the way. But I'm going back to something that you said that I picked up on. Do you always get a list from the parents, or let's say from the mother and the dater, or not necessarily?
I try to get everyone on board.
Yeah,
It depends on the situation. Depends on the situation. I sometimes have, you know, daters calling me and they're on the older side and I never meet the parents. So it's, you know, they're in control. But when there's a younger dater, parents are usually involved in the process.
yeah, that's usually how it is in certain circles. What would you say is the worst advice people give daters? Like, what's really bad advice? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
The worst advice? Um,
I'm putting you on the spot here.
the worst advice, I would say having the matchmaker, the shotgun, coordinate the dates.
Yes. Yes. As a fellow shotgun, I can feel you, because why does the shotgun have to be sort of like the event planner, right? Do you sometimes feel like you're the event planner?
I feel like I'm a hotel concierge
Yeah, right?
and we can't do this anymore. And
Yeah.
it's okay to, no matter which circle you're from, to get the yes, call the girl, set up the date, and get back to the shotgun after the first date, the second date, the third date. And that's the way it actually dating was back in the day, even in the yeshiva circles. The shotgun would get the yeses, tell Moshe to call the girl Monday night at 7. The
Exactly.
family would sit in the kitchen looking at the rotary phone. Most of you probably don't know what a rotary phone
Glad we
is.
got this.
It would ring. The mother would answer the phone. Moshe would say, Mrs. So and so, may I speak with? They would set up the date and move on. And after the date, the shotgun would get the yes or no. We have to stop this. So the worst advice is when someone says, let the shotgun do everything. No, that's not the way life is going to go, because we will disappear and the two of you are going to end up married and you're going to have a hard time navigating what's for dinner.
Yes. Yes, so true. So how would you define the shotgun's role? What is the shotgun's role in all of this?
I would say, due to the fact that, again, in all circles, there's really no natural organic place to meet.
I'm not so sure about that, but that's for a separate.
You're right, for a separate conversation, we're trying to think who would be a good match really based on paper to paper. So
Right.
I would say we're really acting as matchmakers. We're human databases versus a computer database versus an app versus, our analog is our live brains.
Yeah,
Other
but
websites,
that's the match. How far does the shotgun have to take it?
it depends who you are. Someone like myself, if I have access to both the boy and the girl, sometimes I work with other shadchanim,
Yeah.
I go back and forth and back and forth just to describe as much as I know. Now, there are times people just call me. I don't really interview anyone live. I don't have the time. I just get a feel of the person on the phone or just the resume. And I will say, Miriam, I really don't know David, but here's the resume. Or if I really know the person, I'll give them my 2 cents and let them do the research.
Interesting. I like you're honest. You see, talking about honesty. So you'll sometimes say something about this makes me think it might be good for you. I don't know them well, but do your research and let me know what you think.
Exactly. And the word research makes my skin crawl. This is not Mossad CIA work. If you're going to research everything, what's left to discuss on the first date?
So how much, I know you don't want me to use this word, but how much research should a single do?
Again, go back to your list of the 3 things you're looking for. I'll even throw in 4 things and see if it's there. And your best friend when you start this process is Google. You'll
Google.
find a lot, sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of information on the computer about this person. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But that's really the first step in
Wow.
research is Google.
Wow. You know what? I have to say, I'm a little bit naive, I guess, because I never thought to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Thanks for that tip. I think everybody's going to start doing that.
The other thing is when you are researching, if you don't ask direct questions, you will not get direct answers. Never assume someone's going to give over information. A
For example,
good reference will never just blab and blab and blab. They will say, please ask a more direct question.
right.
So it's up to you as the person gaining information about this boy or girl for your son or daughter or for yourself. Ask direct questions. Think it through. Look at the resume. Look at the information. Why did they skip all these, go from school to school, camp to camp? Parents really didn't move. What's going on here?
That's very interesting. Tell me some of your best shidduch stories. What do you remember from over the 5 years that you're doing this? Any good stories?
One good story is I have 2 couples, but one in particular where they got married, and she is 4+ years older than him, and he was probably about mid-20s, probably maybe 24, 25, and basically he, I guess got sick and tired of dating young girls that didn't know what was going on. Myself and someone else gave him this idea, and he's like, why not? So Baruch Hashem, they have 2 kids. I've done second marriages. One in particular, again, the woman is older than the man. That was a whole story in itself. Thank God that worked out. Those are good stories.
Do you think that people, in order to be realistic, they also have to think outside the box? Like, don't limit yourself by age, by height, by location, profession.
Well, it's also what you're comfortable with. If we met organically, all these things wouldn't matter. Redhead, dark, light, 5'4", 5'10", boy shorter than girl. You'd meet somewhere, and the chemistry piece, which to me is personality and looks, if something clicks, you're not even going to look at the hair color, the height, the weight, what school, what SEM, didn't go to college, did go to college. You're not going to care. But we don't have that. So because we're dealing with paper to paper or website, different dating sites, you're looking for certain things. Think what really won't bother you. The less things you have on that list of what you don't want, turn it around to things that you're looking for. Be positive. Try
Right,
it.
right.
Try it. Does the hair color really make a difference? It may. I can't, I'm not in that person's head. Does one seminary make a difference or the other? There's always that one girl or one boy that went to yeshiva or a seminary that, let's say it's a lighter seminary, but that girl wanted something else. Find out about it. There's one in a million that doesn't belong somewhere.
Right. That's
And
all
just,
like the stigma, the stereotyping.
no. Yeah. And, you may be looking at a boy that's, you want a real learner and he's coming out of a solid yeshiva. But as we know, there are many boys in these yeshivas, like many girls in certain top seminaries, that are just coasting. Ask the questions. Don't ever assume that just because there's a stamp of an Ivy League secular Jewish education that the person there is really doing anything.
It's so true what you're saying. And it leads me to another question. What do you think about this whole, thing now with boys feeling the pressure to stay in learning, quote unquote, even though they're not feeling it, and the girls
Right.
having to say they're looking for learning boys when they're not feeling it? What do you say about that?
You're draining the system, you're draining your parents.
You, you're right. You say
There
things
are,
like this.
there are, if you look at a school, at a class, let's say a high school class, and they have an honor society, right? The Honor Society kids are 90 and above for the most part. The National Honor Society in America is 90 and above, cumulative.
Yeah.
What's the percentage? 2 to 3% of that grade, right? That's the top. How many individuals get into Ivy League? 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a learning boy, you should be the 2 to 3%. And if you're not, and you're not happy,
Yeah.
it's time to move on. And it's really okay. It doesn't mean anything. And for the girl just to say, I want this learning, or you're looking for a person, whether it's learning, whether it's law, whether it's medicine, whether it's teaching, whether it's a therapist, you have to be happy with what you're doing. You can't fake it. You're draining yourself and draining your parents and draining funds. I want everyone to be happy. Be realistic.
Yeah.
And
Be
that
genuine.
goes, whether you're in the yeshivish world or the modern world, whatever these terms mean, just be true to yourself. But sitting somewhere where you're miserable, even if you've, let's say, completed law school and you decide, I want to do something else, think about it. If you've been sitting and learning and you realize this isn't for me, move on. You have to be happy. Because if you're not happy in your profession, whatever that may be, you cannot enter a relationship. Because in my opinion, when these daters start, and we can go back to that question, look, it's also cultural sensitivity and where you're coming from. But if you're financially a mess, academically you don't know what you want to do, and that could be in learning or in general studies academics, emotionally a mess, you're dating because it's your age that you have to date, it's not going to work. You're going to be a hamster on a wheel.
It's so true. It's so
And
true.
you have to really have your head screwed on to do this successfully. Again, disclaimer, there are many different type of cultures that this is what we do, and you'll figure it out later. And I'm not knocking it, but if you're in a social group where these three things are important: social, emotional, financial, education, to include learning, secular and otherwise, you have to be a little bit settled. Now, no one's settled. I'm not settled.
I'm not settled.
But it's important. You won't perform well on a date because the other person's going to sense you're really not happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And another important thing I tell daters, when you're on a date and you really were not looking forward to this date, someone pushed you, you have to go try, and it's your grandmother, it's the tech, the hair lady, the Rebbe. Go with happy demeanor, with a smile.
Go with
Fake
an
it.
open mind. You never know.
Just fake it
Yeah.
until you just can't take it. Because if you're sitting across the table from someone and you know this person's not for you, and afterwards you say to the matchmaker, to the shadchan, not for me, but the other person felt so good, even though, it was a no, they may say, you know what? I have someone for Miriam. Such a nice person. I have
Yeah.
someone for David. But if you go into that date annoyed, broigus, with an attitude, people talk. You don't think they do, but they
Oh yeah.
do.
Oh yeah.
The best thing you can do is to say, the other person to say, wasn't for me, but was a really nice date, just not for me. And they'll think of you. So think about it on the date. If that person's not for you, think immediately on that date I have a friend for that person. And if you really are so just happy to be there and appreciative of the time the boy and the girl took out, they will think for you. That's really the best advice I can give daters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is really great advice. That is really great advice. So some people do that. What about, I'm sure over the years you've had some not such great daters. You have any good stories to share about people
um,
that like just, either funny stories or, oh my gosh, like wince type of stories?
yeah. So one story was that a boy and a girl went out to eat. The waiter came to the table and the waiter said, "May I take your order?" And the boy chimed in with his order. Ladies first. Food comes. His food came, not hers. He started to eat. Not good. He finished his meal. She has no food.
Oh, wow.
He then benched. Her food still did not hit the table.
Seriously? This is too much.
Seriously. So that was not such a good one. I've had other times
Wow.
where girls, too, listen up. The boy has taken time to think, to plan, to spend. Hakar Satov. Say
Yeah.
thank you. And if you, perhaps don't really enjoy the date and you're in a restaurant, did you really need to order the wine and the dessert
And
when
the
you know
steak?
you're never going to see them again? That's not nice. So I've had to deal with, I can't blame the boys, the men, and I can't blame the girls, the women. It's working together. But these are things that, as I go along, I will give my checklists of to both sides how to behave. And say thank you. Girls, say thank you to these guys because most of the time it's not their money, it's their parents.
It doesn't matter whose money it is. It's
And
still
right, it
money.
doesn't matter. You just have to say thank you. I would say those were definitely two really good ones. I've had times where I had one story where the boy thought it was okay to run red lights.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but to everyone out there, anyone that you're not comfortable with in a safe and you don't feel safe physically or emotionally, you're out.
Do you mean you're out on the date itself or like after the date, like you know that this is not for you?
It depends on the situation. I've had that where, a few times where people were driving and it was not safe. And you have that right, boy or girl, whoever is driving, to say, you know what, I'm not comfortable, and you can always call for help.
Wow. Wow,
Yep.
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well let's move on to a little bit of a lighter thing because I'm like I can't believe like I'm wondering why the guys would do it. Are they trying to show off? Are they like I don't even
I
know
don't
what
know.
possessed
I'm
them to.
not sure.
Yeah, wow, that's
Yeah.
definitely
But
not.
there are times when conversations come up, and I can't blame the boys more than girls. And a girl will say something that will make the guy feel uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable. Figure out how to cut it short and get home safely.
Yeah, so I mean,
Not simple.
there's a difference between physically feeling
Correct.
unsafe and just like emotionally feeling unsafe. Because if
Right.
you feel emotionally unsafe, okay, you could end the date and move on. But if you're physically unsafe, then yeah, it's like okay, let me out or
Right.
something like that. But
Not
hopefully,
easy.
most people don't have these extreme, situations.
No, but it's happened.
I could imagine. What would you say are some of the do's and don'ts for daters? Certain things that they should do and certain things that they shouldn't do. Obviously, no running red lights, no reckless driving. Besides for that,
Daters, remember, your first impression can be your last impression.
what does that mean?
Look clean, put together, get a haircut, cut your nails, wash
Oh,
your face. I've heard it all.
make sure your car is clean, guys.
So I'm very into make sure your car is clean, make sure you have the car registration, your insurance card,
Oh, wow.
air in the tires, gas in the tank. I would say that's sort of kind of important. And make sure you have a credit
I
card.
think some of this stuff is so
It's
obvious,
not,
but
I
it's
know.
like
But
common
when
sense
you're,
is not common.
it's not always, dating is a lot. People get nervous. So I give them my rundown.
Yeah.
Um, you know, asking the other person in the car, the boy or the girl, is Are you cold? Are you hot? Do you want the window open? Do you want it closed? Those sort of things. Allergies. If you're going somewhere or bringing someone something, are there any allergies? Do you eat certain type of things? Chalav Yisrael, not Chalav Yisrael. Are you going to have meat? Are you going to have dairy? So it's good to tell someone if you're going to go out for a dairy meal, a milchik meal,
Yeah.
because they could be meat and it's like super awkward. Or if they have a nut allergy and you're in an ice cream store, make sure that place is, something they can eat.
I never
These
thought
are
of
things.
the allergy thing. That's a good one.
These are things you just learn. I guess we all learn as shadchanim. Every time we hit a new moment, we add it to our list of things. To be honest, dating, we try to make it as chilled as possible and as relaxed as possible. It's not a natural thing to sit and speak with someone for a few hours for the first two dates. It's uncomfortable. Most
Yeah.
people are not good at this. So we're just trying to sort of make sure the path to the date is as smooth as possible. I can also suggest girls, if you're living in a place where parking's very hard, give the person you're dating options. Like, you can park in this driveway. I'll come down. It's
Yeah.
at this time. I've had people picking up girls from Manhattan, and they'll send a sibling downstairs to sit in the guy's car so the guy can meet the parents. Make it as easy as possible, because if the guy is circling and circling and circling for a parking spot, that's very stressful. So let's think how we can make that less stressful. That was one example. I'll never forget it, how smart this family was in the city on the Upper West Side, that they sent down one of the siblings to sit in the guy's car. Like, I told everyone what would happen, so no one thought it was weird, but it was easy. He pulled up, sibling came down, sat in the car, the boy went up, met the parents, and back he went. But he didn't have to stress. We want to take all these stressors out before the date even starts.
That is brilliant, by the way. That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. And also, I suggest, especially to the guys, some guys are not comfortable, with long drives or just driving in general. Good to have a good dry run where the date's going to be. That will calm you down. Get to the place, find the parking, look around the lounge or the restaurant, figure out what would work, what wouldn't work. You'll be much calmer. I know it's a lot of time, but if you can do it, and that's the kind of person you are, no problem. And there's one other thing I'm going to bring up. When we are so consumed with the venue, where are we going? The venue, sometimes you get home from a date and you're like, this was awful. And I'll say to the dater, where did you go? I don't know, bowling, painting, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I'll ask them, do you like to go bowling? And they're like, oh, no. But I thought he did and she did. It wasn't the date you didn't like. It was the venue.
Venue.
It was the venue. I live in Woodmere, which is close to a Long Beach boardwalk. It's a great place, Long Beach boardwalk, but not in inclement weather for a date.
Right.
So if you're going to do a boardwalk or a park, let the other party know so they know what to wear. And if the weather isn't perfect, it's not going to be a good date. So remember, sometimes when you get home and you're just like, it was a bad date, perhaps it was the venue, not the company.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. I get that all the time, by the way. Like, as a coach, I see it all the time. I always say that. Where did you go? And I was coaching a girl this week, and she told me he took her to Dave and Buster's. It was so loud. She had
Loud.
a headache. She came home. She said, I don't know. I don't think he's for me. I said, hold up, hold up. Where did he take you? What happened? And right away when she said, I'm like, forget this date ever happened, because it never happened. It wasn't a date. You know? Yeah. So venue for sure matters.
I'm going to say one thing, and I think you're going to agree, Miriam. I think the biggest problem that we're having in the dating world is that everyone is discussing their dates. Yes. Girls do it and the boys do it.
Yes.
This is called HIPAA. You don't have to say one thing, and you should not. And if you have a friend that says, Miriam, I heard you went out with David, I'm not telling you to lie. You can say yes. Then she says, how was it? All you need to say is, I went out with David.
I'd rather not talk about it. Yeah.
It doesn't mean negative. It doesn't mean positive. It is no one's business who you are dating. And if you want to discuss modesty and being sanua, do not discuss who you are dating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I'm not saying with a professional, of course, your parents, of course. Now,
yeah.
back in the dorm, not in your apartment, not on the street, that's it. And it's very difficult not to say anything, but all you need to say is, yes, I went out with Miriam. How was it? I went out with Miriam. Where did you go? I went out with Miriam. They'll get the hint.
Yeah, yeah, and it's and the reason why also is because they might not be for you. You may have had an awful time, but it could be they could be perfect for your friend, or maybe they'll
Correct.
you'll break up with them. They'll date your friend. Yeah, great advice. Never ever talk to your friends.
No.
What chizuk can you give those daters that are just upper 20s, 30s, and it's just not happening for them? What would you tell them?
I think those daters need to surround themselves with positive people,
Yeah.
whether it's shadchanim, matchmakers, family members, pick up a new hobby, do things that you want to do. Easy for me to say, but the busier you are in life, the better you feel. And you'll have more to offer as well. You just never know. But if you surround yourself with negative people, and that includes, again, matchmakers, shadchanim, family members, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Try to do more in your life, pick up more hobbies, go to shiurim, go to lectures, whatever it may be, to keep yourself busy. And, one of those new hobbies that just may, that may be a hook when someone's describing you to someone else. Oh, she's a figure skater. He does Tomchei Shabbos. And they go, you know what? I'm interested in that. You want to expand your resume, as they
Yeah,
say.
you want to have passion also. When you're
Passion.
passionate about something, it really shines through on the dates.
And again, I don't know what it's like, and I'm not knocking how difficult this is,
Yeah,
but try to just please surround yourself with positivity.
yeah, yeah. That's a great advice. And I want to you mentioned Tomchei Shabbos. I'm going to go back to something that we said in the beginning of the podcast about that singles, that daters don't have an opportunity to meet organically.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to change that actually. Why can't, even in the quote unquote more yeshivish circles, why can't they meet doing a chesed project, packing boxes for Tomchei Shabbos, doing things for Chai Life? I don't know. There's so many chesed organizations out there that need help. Why can't the boys and girls sort of mingle? If singles events are okay, why can't they meet doing other stuff? I don't know why that can't
So
be.
many of the dating organizations, such as Adopt a Shadchan and YU Connects, have had various chesed opportunities where it becomes actually like an organic dating event.
Yeah,
And what's so great about it is you're packing boots for the Chayalim and the Chayalot in Israel,
yeah,
right? So there was a whole movement of this, and YU Connects was involved with the shul on the island. And if I'm not mistaken, there were dates that came out of it. Why? No one's there to look at someone else and say he or she may be for me. You're there for a purpose of
right.
chesed. Out of this chesed and giving yourself up, you're more relaxed, and there could be a date coming out of it. Tomchei Shabbos, 100%. That we have many things that need to be done now, especially in Israel, and there are many chesed centers just dedicated to that, and it is something that I am actually working on to try to do some sort of chesed event involving doing something for Israel, because that's what's on everyone's mind. Whether it's going to be
Events meaning with singles, with boys that with
correct, correct. Look, the children in Israel are going to need school supplies. That's something that we could have some sort of dating event, but
yeah,
it's more relaxed because the goal is to get everything packed. And if you happen to meet someone, great, but at least you're not walking in and everyone's looking at each other. You're not leaving that site because you have the goal of it is chesed.
yeah,
You
yeah,
may get a date out of it. It's an important thing that I think. But again, Adopt a Shadchan, which I'm involved with, and YU Connects, they have excellent dating chesed events. They really do. In
yeah,
addition to, speed dating and everything else the organizations do.
yeah, yeah. So good. I hope it takes off. I really do, because I think I really do believe in it, and so good for you for doing it. Okay, we're running out of time, so what would be your parting message to everybody that's listening, whether it's the daters themselves or their parents? What do you want them to know?
Coming from my heart
Yeah.
is I try to answer every single message that comes my way within a normal period of time, if not immediately. And easy for me to say to keep your chin up. But again, surround yourself with positive people. Be realistic as best as you can. And this takes a village. And what do I mean by that? Every single person in our communities has a responsibility to keep daters in mind. Pick three
Yes.
daters, three
Yeah.
different daters, so it's not the same pool of people. Yantif, Shabbos, getting your nails done, going for mincha, whatever you may be doing. Say, you know what? I have this girl, I have this boy. What do you think? I was sitting today on the beach with friends of mine. We actually came up with an idea for two people. I'll keep you posted. But you're sitting there. Don't think about yourself. Think about other people, and it'll be a domino effect. And look what happened on the beach. Because with every shidduch, there's a story. So if the story could be that I don't even know what date it is, August 2024, Danielle was sitting with two of her friends, and we're back and forth, and a shidduch was made. That's a pretty good story.
The next thing I'm going to ask you, was that the one from the beach?
Well, I was at the beach today, so we'll see what happens. We'll keep you posted. But
Yeah.
again, think about others. Don't just think about yourself, your own child, but always network. Because when people say to me, I don't know anyone, wrong. You know more people than you think. And if you don't know someone, you ask your friend, look, I have so and so in mind. Could you pass it along? Just
Yeah.
keep going and going and going and going. And the other
That
thing is,
doesn't know anybody. Like everybody knows somebody.
everyone knows someone and someone knows someone. Otherwise, you're living like, on Walden's Pond by yourself and doing nothing. That's really my advice is just keep trying. You don't have to be a professional shadchan.
Right.
It's everyone's responsibility. And if you don't think you can get it off ground, then call him. Then call a shadchan, call a matchmaker to do it. If
Adopt a
you have
shot.
an idea and
Such a
you
fretting, they call it. Like if you have an
Fredden,
idea, and you can't do it, call, a
have
shot.
someone that can get it off ground.
Yeah.
And actually, it's the easiest thing for a matchmaker. If you come to me with an idea, that's great. I'll run with it.
Yeah.
But everyone has to really, really try, especially the young couples. Don't forget your friends.
Right. Because they know so many people of that age. Right.
Yeah, don't forget your friends. Always think about others. Whether you're traveling, whether it's Shabbos, wherever it may be, there are people who are sitting alone. Let's try to always remember them.
Danielle, you really gave us so many great tips, some cute stories, and some real chizuk. And I really hope that everybody listening takes this to heart because, like Danielle said, you don't have to be a professional shadchan to make a shidduch. And it can happen on the beach. It can happen on the train. The thought will come in. Doesn't matter where you are. If you have a thought, go with it. Don't say, I'm not a shadchan. I don't know. I'm not sure. Thank you so much, Danielle, for your time.
Thank
And
you for having me, my dear
yeah,
friend Miriam.
this was lovely. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today. I'd love to hear what stood out for you on today's episode. So email me at heartbeatsandfootprints@gmail.com with all your comments. And if this episode resonated with you, make sure to like, follow, and share it with someone who could use some inspiration. Remember, every heartbeat and every step you take brings you closer to the person you want to be. So until next time, keep moving forward and let's continue to grow together.